circuit known the world over for the speed and commitment required here, it is also a venue almost uniquely able to put a smile on every single driver's face. They love racing here, and it should be a phenomenal next 70 minutes of racing. It's the feature race here at round 8 of the 2017 FIA Formula 2 Championship. In the commentary box, I'm Alex Jakes, and alongside me, Davide Valsecchi joins me to provide expert analysis. What a racetrack we have. What a race in prospect, Davide.
Ciao, Alex. It's a real pleasure. From my point of view, the best circuit in the world. The layout of the track is amazing, and you need everything to be the quickest here. You need talent, you need concentration, you need everything in the right place.
All the skills that you list there we saw yesterday from Charles Leclerc, who as he said to me on the driver's parade, made it 8 from 8 on the road, 7th pole on paper for him. Nicholas Latifi's on the front row for the first time in Formula 2. Ollie Rowland goes from 3rd, out-qualified by his teammate for only the 2nd time this year. Gustav Mallier with a season's best in 4th. Antonio Fuoco starts within the top 5 for the 4th time in 2017. Nick de Vries is one of our driver changes. He's swapped teams to Racing Engineering and goes from 6th. Luca Giotto, slightly better, but still struggling over 1 lap. Expect better from him in the race. The one driver change in for Sergio Canamastas is Roberto Meri, who has F1 experience and goes from P8 in his 3rd F2 race. Artem Markelov had been on for a rapid lap time before we had the red flag in qualifying, so he will have to fight from 9th. Alexander Albon, special tip of the hat from him. His best lap posted in the torrential rain that we saw at the end of the session. Shouldn't have been possible, but was possible. Camara was the only driver to spin in the conditions in 11th. Then we see Ferrucci at his 2nd round with Trident. Delatraz has swapped to Rapax and seems far happier there. A man who wasn't happy was Ralph Boschung, who goes from 14th. He was quick in dry practice, hated the wet conditions, as did Matt Shushita in 15th, Jordan King in 16th, Robert Visoyu, Norman Nato, and his Arden teammate Sean Galail going from 19th. Arden having a problem in the wet, and Nabil Jeffrey will be delighted, he told me, if it stays dry. It has stayed dry, and it doesn't make this circuit any less of a challenge, Davide, because tyre strategy today, it's always important, but we've got a new compound of tyre. You can see Ollie Rowland 3rd on the grid there, starting on the softs. That has traditionally been the best way to go around this circuit. Start with the softs on the heavy fuel, get rid of them as soon as possible, and then put on the mediums. But you can see Fuoco has taken a different strategy behind that medium compound, put a little bit of confusion in there.
Yeah, you're right. A different strategy for the top drivers. We just saw the grid. Leclerc with soft, Maglia that surprised me with a really good quali yesterday from the 4th position with soft, Roland with soft. We are waiting in the grid. Latifi from the 1st row. We didn't check yet the tires and the compound that he's using. Will be interesting. Understand which is the best strategy, because remember that also the meteo, the weather forecast can be a trouble here, because maybe there will be rain in the last part of the race and can surprise all the drivers in the field.
So Nicholas Latifi, as you say, should be on the grid, but isn't. We're looking out of the window, and the Canadian driver who was expecting to take his second position on the grid and his first ever start from the front row in Formula 2 isn't able to do so, and the commentary box view doesn't give us a view to the end of the pit lane.
But it's risky now to start from the pit lane, because I think he ran late on the timing to have the chance to get the place in the grid.
Yeah, it's too late. It's going to be a pit lane start for Nicholas Latifi. Oh. Disappointment for him. But the upside, if there is an upside for Dams, is that Ollie Rowland was speaking about the run not only to the first turn, and the first turn here, it's 270 meters to the first turn, but of course it's unusual in that they head into a hairpin, but you can be 2nd, and then you've got that enormous drag through some phenomenal corners, down the hill to Eau Rouge, through Raidillon, and it's all about if you've got the lead when you get to the end of the Kemmel Straight and head into Les Combes, because you're giving an enormous slipstream to the guy behind.
Yeah, you're right, because it's not even easy overtaking this track. I mean, it's extremely important. The position just after the first main straight, just after the Eau Rouge. Is spectacular, because if you are leading after the first corner, it's not done for the first lap. You have the chance to lose your leadership just at the end of the straight, and they're coming.
Dams have been the resurgent team, and we're on board with the man who will line up in the third place grid spot. The man second in the championship now only has his title rival ahead of him, and he wouldn't have wanted that to befall his teammate, but today it might be a bit of an advantage. We saw some very attacking driving from Ollie Rowland last time out in Budapest, but Latifi is still in the pits as we ride on board with his teammate. And this is the section we were referring to. If you get through Eau Rouge and you get to the end of the straight, you've got a great opportunity to overtake, and it's worth saying, DRS around here, particularly effective.
Yeah, you're right. There will be not DRS for the first lap, but it's extremely important to be not really close to the car in front of you at the first lap, because you're up there. We have the tires not really 100% hot. If you are second and you are not in the bottom of the car in front, is better, because you have the downforce. You can be flat out, and you can have all the slipstream through the main straight. So the key is to be flat out at Eau Rouge at the first lap. Not easy at all.
We're on board with the driver who will be running when the race starts in 5th position. It's Nick de Vries, who has scored podiums and wins this year for Rapak, so it was slightly surprising to see him go in the other direction. De Vries with a double podium last time out. Of course, he was the winner in Monaco. You're looking at Charles Leclerc, who said he was happy to get pole after a tough-to-take disqualification in Budapest, and he's looking forward, regardless of the conditions today. Of course, you can see right now that with a track temperature of 33 degrees and an air temperature of 23, we have great conditions for racing, but there are some interesting-looking clouds.
My drinking system doesn't work because the water is coming out.
Well, that does not sound at all good for Nick de Vries.
Yeah, drinking system problem, so strange, but you don't need so much in this track, but the race is more than 1 hour, so sometimes it's, I don't know, useful, a little advantage to drink during the race, but if you don't have water, you can drive anyway easily here.
You wouldn't want that to happen in somewhere like Malaysia, would you? If it's going to happen, it's better that it happens here in Belgium. So Charles Leclerc thought Nato and Rowland would be his threat for pole, but he was comfortable immediately. And that initial run that he set when he went out there and put a lap in 2.3 seconds faster than anyone else just shows the confidence he is operating at and the ability he has behind the wheel as well.
Please, for our friends at home, check it out very well, the first corner, because from the leadership it's not easy to approach that corner. You want to open the line at the entry to have a good exit and to don't be attacked on the main straight, but you let the people have the chance on the inside. So for Leclerc, he has to close the line at the entry of the first corner to don't give the chance to the contenders to overtake him immediately.
So important to slot into the right grid slot. Ollie Rowland has managed to avoid that pitfall. The burnouts are completed. Nicholas Latifi still registered on our screens as being in the pit lane. So there's only 19 drivers on the grid. The front two line astern instead of next to each other. And now we have Nato, Galeo and Jeffrey, the green flag. And now with 3, 4, 5 red lights in Belgium, we're ready to go in Spa, and we're underway for the feature race. A great start for Ollie Rowland, who's immediately got a better getaway, and he's challenging his championship rival into turn 1. Rowland has the outside line though, and there's contact between the championship pair. The contenders get into each other, and the element of the front wing lost as they all battle in the background. Fourco has moved up to 3rd position. Malia back down to 4th. There's an improvement for a Russian time as they head through Eau Rouge for the first time. Anyone off the road, Ferrucci was hanging on to it, but Leclerc was under pressure. Another driver under pressure is Gustav Malia coming to the top of the hill, and we can see, is Malia going to be overtaken? Oh, Giotto's risking it against Fourco there, and the Racing Engineering's their only teammates for the first time this weekend, and they won't be happy. And Jordan King, who had a torrid time yesterday, now has a puncher, and there's contact between Albon and Merry there. You can see there's damage to the front wing of Alexander Albon, who's getting very close indeed to the 19 car off the road. We're on board with de Vries. It was Louis Delatraz being forced wide. Leclerc had to work for it, but crucially held on to the lead.
And Markelov already 5th from 9th. A really great start from the Russian time with Giotto. Ooh.
Oh, that's not what he needed at all. Louis Delatraz in his first start has the front wing hanging off, and does he know about it? I'm not sure he does. The virtual safety car is deployed. And oh, he's run into the back of him again. Calm it down and take a breather, Louis Delatraz. So that is not what he needed at all in his first lap for Rapax. And there was a car stalled on the grid. It's Nobuhara Matsushita.
Loads of debris, loads of debris.
So King summarising while we're under the virtual safety car after a frenetic lap, and you can see there is very little left of the front of the rear right tyre, I should say, for Jordan King. And that really sums up his season in recent events. And look at this.
What a show the first lap, what a show. Delatraz was a bit too aggressive because he lost the front wing. You know that you don't have downforce. He went wide in a corner and he crashed against the contender, and then again he just pushed on him.
He did. I don't think he knew he had the damage, because I'm not sure he would have gone as racy against camera as we go on board with Norman Nato, who's managed to get himself up to 14th in the order. Remember, he started in 18th, so really useful opening lap for Nato. Remember, they haven't gone over, and that is what is remaining of Jordan King's tyre. And there's, well, he said there was so much debris, he couldn't even see the debris he was leaving behind on the racetrack. Remember, the virtual safety car can be withdrawn at any time. And finally, Rapax have got through to Louis Delatraz to come into the pits. But look how relaxed Charles Leclerc is. It got pretty close between those two, and you can see that Ollie Rowland, when we have a look at the front of his car again, is missing that top element on the front ring.
You have lost the front rear end plate. Okay, this should give you a bit more understeer and a bit less downforce, but you could survive like it is. Yeah, I saw that go off. I didn't really have anywhere to go.
Normal, a bit more understeer.
Yeah, a bit more understeer. The virtual safety car has been withdrawn. We're green flag racing once again. And Leclerc timing that nicely. Fuoco, it's all right. He'll get a little bit of a run. We're on board with Norman Nato, who is also racing. He was looking forward to it being dry. And look at the momentum he's got now as he tries to close the gap on Robert Visoyu in front of him. And are they going to go 3 wide down the Kemmel Straight? It's not that wide part of tarmac going backwards there. I think it was Matsushita who was a lap down. Luca Giotto has managed to get himself past Antonio Fuoco under braking. He was threatening to do that before, and he maintains that position now. But you mentioned, Davide, Artem Markelov on a customary charge. He said he wasn't going to let Budapest change anything about the way he approached it today, which means maximum attack from the Russian driver.
Yeah, you're right, and he started really well because he was 9th on the grid, and now he's already 5th. And consider his race pace. He has the chance to do a really good race. He has, I think the RT has some problem on the front wing. Have a check.
Yeah, Albon as well on the right-hand side of the front wing. Some damage on the opening lap, but there was quite a lot of contact on that opening lap, and you can see it's sort of rather hanging off the side of it. And he's really affecting him through the corner. That's not great for the handling of the car, something that Ollie Rowland has got to deal with, as well as Alexander Albon.
Yeah, you're right, but when he's off, the pace is much better, because when the pace is off, it's much better because you have at least a normal grip, a normal downforce. When he's missing or he's bouncing, it's a problem. Ooh!
This is De Vries with a run on Albon, and he's got the position to improve in the order up to 7th, and Albon will be struggling all the time. Remember, Albon can't come into the pits until the end of the 6th lap, so he's going to try and come back. De Vries knows to take the inside line, but he's compromised on the exit, and Robert Visoyu setting the fastest lap rather sums up the frenetic start we've seen to this race as we are back underway. Albon with a decent run, Davide.
Now it's close, but you need to be flat, and it's not easy to follow the car in front of you. A really high speed, he lost a bit, and maybe he's going to be attacked from behind.
There we see Santino Ferrucci, and he's got the Campos alongside, gaining all the time. Robert Visoyu trying to take 11th. Is he able to? Meanwhile, the Rapax of Roberto Merri, who didn't get the best start, is trying to attack Alexander Albon for 8th position, which is where he started this race. Of course, it would have been 7th over the line. So a couple of places lost for Roberto Merri, despite his Formula One experience and knowing this track so well.
Have a check. Leclerc is pulling away, Roland is struggling a bit to maintain the pace. Really well done for Giotto, that was the only driver to get the position just at the restart.
So this was at the start, a lot of wheel spin for Leclerc, immediately gave the opportunity to Roland. There was a dart to the inside, he forced him tight, but as we heard on the radio, Ollie Roland didn't really feel he had anywhere left to go. You don't want to go over the red curve on the left-hand side. You can see a really poor getaway from Matsushita, just heading out of the picture. There's the squeeze from Roland, another one as they went tight. Wait for the contact, here it comes, and that could have been far worse for Ollie Roland.
Yeah, you're right, because Leclerc was perfect. He just had a bit too much wheel spin, but then he opened the line at the exit of the first corner. But have a check, Roland, wheel spin for Leclerc. Roland was perfect, and then he tried to close Leclerc at the entrance to have a better exit. But have a check, Leclerc was smart and clever to just open the line and to give some trouble and some noise to the car that is following him. Really well done for Leclerc, that shows to be expert enough to drive a Formula One.
Oh, he's certainly proven that on many occasions, and Ollie Roland's couple of victories as well this year have shown that these two at the front of our championship deserve to be there. Here's De Vries. This was the contact between his teammate at Leclerc, and he was very, very lucky. Somehow he survived without any damage to the front of the car. Racing Engineering, who have had a difficult campaign considering the high standards they usually set, nearly losing 2 cars. Maybe that's the turn of luck, and that is where you see Louis Delatraz getting the damage that required him to change his front wing. As a result, he is now down in 16th position. But this was the contact when the virtual safety car was called, and not slowing down, potentially dangerous. That might mean a penalty for the Swiss driver.
Yeah, you're right. Could be dangerous, because look, already missed one corner and he had the first corner, the contact, and then with Vidmar safety car, he just didn't slow down enough, and then with no front wing or the front wing damage is even worse. So could be really dangerous. You're right.
So DRS now enabled. It is extremely effective in the 2 zones available, down the pit straight and down the Kemmel straight as they head to Les Combes. Charles Leclerc now up to speed, a 2 minutes 8 is the fastest lap at the moment. Last time around, Ollie Roland doing a 2 minute 1.3, so a handy early advantage for Leclerc. Remember, the flurry of pit stops will begin at the end of lap 6, and the strategy that we saw last year when Pierre Gasly took the race in the same machinery back then in GP2, and Stoffel Van Dorn the year before that, was to come in as soon as possible. Van Dorn was in at the end of lap 6, Gasly lap 7, get rid of the soft tyres and nurse the harder of the compounds, which this year is the medium, all the way through. Late braking move by Robert Visoyu on Alexander Albon, who's trying to hang on but knew he wouldn't have the room and took the sensible option. He will surely have to feather out the throttle and give the position back. For the moment though, he doesn't seem at all interested in doing that and maintains 10th position.
But was well done the move from Visoyu, that opened the line and then closed with a really deep brake, really well done. And then I don't know why Albon just cut the chicane. It's a bit unfair. I think he has to give the position back, like you said.
So Luca Giotto, Antonio Fuoco, Artem Markelov in the 2 minutes 2s. Then we have Roland in the 2 minutes 1s.
System, you missed the apex turn 4. Please be careful or you made a penalty.
So very close indeed between Markelov, who, remember, sits 3rd in the championship, against Antonio Fuoco, who's rather been put in the shade by Charles Leclerc. That's not really to have a go at Antonio. It's just with the number of victories that we've seen from the Monegasque driver this year, that is the plain fact of it. But he managed to repel him as he got to the top of the hill. Markelov coming under pressure himself from Malia, who was confident that if it stayed dry, he could deliver this, and we've seen it. I feel that we say this every time Gustav Malia gets to the front, but he's a different guy in the top 10 of a race than he is in the bottom 10, and it's really interesting to see that difference in psychology. When he gets a chance of big points, usually the Swedish driver is able to deliver.
Yeah, you're right. Sometimes it's really strange the way how he's racing, but today and during this weekend he's performing really well. Yesterday was confident on the wet to have a really good quali, and he did it, and today he's easily in the top 6, so he's doing really well. Markelov just in front of him, and Fuoco, they are on the alternative strategy. They started with medium.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a very interesting point indeed. We see behind the driver on the soft tyres, the softs will be beginning to degrade. They will be beginning to lose performance. Still, Charles Leclerc half a second quicker in terms of lap times than his rival and the man sitting in second place. And so it's looking very good for the championship leader at the moment.
He's pushing too much, don't worry, he'll destroy his tires, okay? Don't worry if he's pushing a lot.
So Markelov being told that his approach is correct, and we have seen Markelov being a superb judge of the rubber and how much to take from it in the early stages. This is a racetrack where degradation isn't crazy, but you do still need to manage it.
Yeah, you're right, because he has to manage the medium tire still lap 15 or 16, so he needs to go longer than the contenders, and he needs to maintain the pace until that lap, and it's not easy if you push too much at the beginning.
Oh, big defense coming now from the ART, and this time though Albon could do nothing about it. Robert Visoyu taking the position that he believed that he got at the bus stop, but Albon cutting the bus stop and then tucking back in. It took an extra lap to make the move, and now Ralph Boschung, who was very quick indeed in dry practice on Friday, is trying to follow through and score more points this season.
Strange Albon that is not performing really well this weekend. Usually is one of the contenders for the podium, but in this weekend it never seems that he never had the chance to stay really in the top, no?
Well, remember, he was flying in his debut year before he broke his collarbone, and since then I wonder if he rushed back a little bit too quickly. Either way, he was fine in Austria, where he scored his only podium of the season. But when the high G demands of Silverstone came along, he was visibly uncomfortable. And since then, not quite the pace that you'd want. Remember, he started from reverse grid pole, but it was his teammate who won the race in Budapest. You can see Olli Rowland, Luca Giotto, and Artem Markelov, the big winners from the start. There's an incident involving cars 8 and 11. That's Ralph Boschung and Alexander Albon. That would be leaving the track and
the cutting of the chicane
cutting across.
Before, yeah. It's attacked by Bouchon at the moment, and Bouchon had already.
So as soon as he could, Olli Rowland has come to the pit lane. So exactly the strategy we saw from Stoffel van Dorn. Away go the soft tyres, on go the mediums, and then that's a decent stop from the Dams team. That was pretty near perfect from the French team as they get their British driver away and back into the race. And now this is crucial that he attacks but doesn't take too much out of the tyres early on. He's racing the guy ahead of him and also behind. We've seen how effective Markelov can be on the tyres that he's on.
Yeah, many laps for him with the medium tyres just until the end, and he has in free space, so he can push for the first few laps and gaining second in time to Leclerc. Remember, Roland now is fighting Leclerc for the victory with a really different strategy, because he just entering the pit before Leclerc, and maybe 2 or 3 laps. I don't think that Leclerc react immediately.
It'll be interesting to see whether they go for that or not. I can't quite see the Prema team in the pit lane at the moment, so they seem to be going with your plan, Davide. Really difficult couple of laps, opening stint to this race for Alexander Albon, whose car is obviously compromised. You can see that there, the detail on the front wing, and Boschung coming back. I think race control meant Albon and Visoyu, not Albon and Boschung, because Boschung is behind, and we did see that being under investigation. We also heard from Roberto Meri's engineer, nearly on the grass, and a little snap of oversteer for Boschung, and that just shows you sometimes it looks like they're just looking after the tyres. These guys at this stage, if you're on the soft tyre, you've got to wring what's left from that rubber at this stage, because you're about to come into the pits.
Yeah, you're right, and also it's not really easy to stay close to the car in front of you in the middle sector, where you need the down.
Oh, there's a lock up there for Albon. Is he going to be able to make the corner? No, he's not. Oh, Boschon goes off as well. And so, big opportunity now for Ferrucci. And Nato behind. It's going to get very tight indeed. Boschon, he's going to dive to the inside of the first turn. He's been sent to the wider outside line from Albon, who once again is showing us that he really knows how to defend in this machinery. But it's surely a losing battle. ART will want to have him in surely as soon as possible.
Yeah, strange for Albon that usually we said at the beginning of the season that was one of the best in the defense. Today is not driving perfectly. Albon, you're right, maybe the injury affected a bit his season.
So Boschon closing all the time with the use of DRS. Is there anything Alexander Albon can do? I don't think there is. And Ralph Boschon takes 9th position. He has charged through from 14th, now made it into the points, but he wants to go one further forward, because that is where reverse grid pole is for tomorrow.
So,
What do you think of pitting now? No.
Simple, good communication.
yeah, seems that he has still the tires to manage the situation. Roland, he just at the pit and he just set his personal fastest first sector, but Leclerc didn't react immediately. So, seems that the tires, they are good enough to stay in the track longer, also if they are soft.
I wondered whether we would see Charles Leclerc potentially struggle on the medium tyre, because he ran 10 laps less than Ollie Rowland in practice because of an issue with the fire extinguisher that meant he missed a lot of the session. But they seem to maybe be hedging their bets a little bit by running slightly longer on the soft tyre and not being forced to get so much out of the mediums in the second half of this race. They're tightly packed together. Nato making great progress from his 18th position, and we always know that Nato's going to be on the charge. We saw that in Austria in the sprint race. Does he try and move on Ferrucci? Not that time. Maybe Nato from a couple of years ago would have sent one to the inside, but not this time for the Frenchman.
Maglia, he just changed his mind. He's in the pit.
No became yes pretty quickly. Sergio Sede Camara, a driver going in search of his first points of the season, is in here. Racing Engineering trying to get a big hatful of points with both drivers. De Vries is continuing out there. And it's a decent stop. Can they get him away? They can. Ollie Rowland setting rapid lap times, and it's getting pretty close between the guys on the medium tyres. That's Fuoco and Markelov racing the heavily degraded tyres at this point of Luca Ghiotto. It's the battle for second between the three of them.
So, normal situation. Ghiotto, that is with soft, is starting to struggling with the degradation of tires. You saw it, the control at the exit of corner 8, and Fuoco and Markelov with medium, they start to be quicker and they start to attack him and to put pressure on him. For Ghiotto, maybe it's the time to pit.
It certainly is, because you can see on lap 7 it was half a second, lap 8 4/10. So remember, he will be paid back later on without having to use that medium tyre, but it looks to be that he's heading off the cliff at the moment. Comparing the lap times of Ollie Rowland, who's in the 2 minutes, and Leclerc is in the 2 minutes 1, and well, it'll be interesting to see Leclerc again with another masterful stint from the front. It's been excellent from Charles Leclerc so far.
Yeah, Leclerc is 10 seconds in front of Ghiotto. He's 10 seconds in front of everyone. Just Roland at the pit, and Leclerc just pull away from the group. Really well done for Leclerc, that is running 1 second quicker than everyone else.
Be really interesting to see the lap times this time over the line, though, because it's around 31 seconds, the time you need for a pit stop, which is what Luca Ghiotto is going to get involved with right now. But last time over the line, Roland and Leclerc were separated by 31 seconds. So there's an awful lot of pressure coming the way of Prima in a few moments' time. But Leclerc right now, Ghiotto I should say, right now into the pits. Russian time, trying to get him away, had to wait for the cars. No further action between Albon and Boschon, or maybe Visoyu.
Yeah, you're right, it was Visoyu.
So they're not going to take any further action, partly because that incident never happened, but the one with the other Campos did, and they will not receive a penalty, either of them. Looking like a move right now between Markelov and Antonio Broca round the outside for Artem Markelov. They're on the same tyre, but now there's clear track in front, and it's the exact moment that the Russian makes his move. It's that sort of driving that's carried carried him to third in the title standings. He's second on the road right now. Now let's look down to Ollie Rowland, who last time around did set a slower lap time, and for the moment on used soft tyres, Leclerc, our race leader, and Rowland, who went for the undercut strategy, well, it's going Leclerc's way with faster lap times on heavily degraded tyres, and this is why.
The group, Roland, he's stuck in traffic now. He has to overtake all the cars in front of him, and it will be not easy. First lap, he gained 1 second to Leclerc, but now he just lost one in the traffic, so it's not easy. But let me say that every single race we are saying wow to Markelov, that he's doing every time wonderful overtakes.
That was fantastic. Had the DRS, but had the confidence, and Markelov certainly. Sometimes with drivers, you see a race after a big crash like he had in the feature race in Budapest, and maybe it's a little bit circumspect. I remember Alex Lynn a couple of years ago went off, made a mistake in Russia, and then at the next round was a little bit hesitant. No problem for Artem Markelov in that respect. In comes the race leader and the championship leader with what they believe is enough of a margin to get him out ahead because of the traffic that Ollie Rowland encountered. Off come the soft tyres, on go the mediums, and Leclerc is back, but it's not rapid, is it? And he only had a margin as he came over the line of 32 seconds. Does the dams appear? It will surely in that group, but it's going to be Leclerc who retains the lead, and that gamble, the undercut strategy not working. Superb driving to make the soft tyres last for Charles Leclerc, who comes out into the lead. There's Nato, and there, Nato, of course, who hasn't stopped yet. He's going long on the medium tyres, so a net second for Ollie Rowland, and Leclerc managed that stint really nicely.
Yeah, perfect from Prema and perfect for Leclerc. The pace was amazing with the soft tyres. He could last longer and running quicker, and now he has less lap to do with the medium tyres. Look, he's waving to warm up the tyres to the first break up there, and let me say that the pit stop maybe was not wonderful because the reaction of Leclerc was not perfect, but oh, Roland.
So this is Roland on Santino Ferrucci. These guys in different races, and I think Ferrucci knew it. No real move to the inside, and Roland, that was pretty late to send it down the inside. Made it work though into the bus stop, and he was making his way through past the guys who started on the medium tyre, and a horrible piece of deja vu now for Ollie Rowland because he's got Norman Nato in front of him, and he had that for every single lap in Silverstone. It left him third that day.
Okay, so now it's a matter of overtaking Nato and looking at the tyres better than him.
And so Jose on the radio, his engineer there conveying the message. It's about looking after the tyres. It was a sensible strategy to pit him because he didn't have the outright pace on the softs, but when he caught that group, it was never going to work.
Yeah, maybe find the group a bit too quickly. I think that the team expect him to have a free air, a free space for some laps, but after 2 laps he already took the group, and now Nato, also him with medium, not easy to overtake, but seems much quicker, Roland.
Nato on the used mediums, much newer for Ollie Rowland.
Right.
These two get on pretty well. No. Will he fight it? No. He knows that Norman can sometimes shut the door. No real point on Nato racing Rowland for too long though, because these guys are in different races. Remember, Nato who came through from 18th on the grid, Rowland who started second on the road from 3rd position, and Rowland, wow, slowing it down an enormous amount into La Source, and now remember he'll get DRS as we go on board into some of the great corners anywhere in the world. Time to go on board into Eau Rouge. This is superb. Over the top of the hill, the underside of the car.
Did you see the steering wheel?
Rubbing against the floor, and now on the Kemmel Straight, DRS available to Ollie Rowland, and how fantastic to enjoy that entire move on board with the British driver, who is up back into 2nd position in the race. Dams looking on for their 15th podium in 15 races. That is a remarkable statistic for the French team. A 2nd net, of course, because we've still got Artem Markelov and Antonio Fuoco in the lead of this race, running long on the medium tyres.
Did you saw the onboard and the steering wheel of the Eau Rouge? When you follow the car really close to it, you just lose the downforce, and seems that the steering wheel comes slider, and you have to control the car in the more difficult ways. Not really easy, but really well done. Very well done for Roland that could manage the oversteer of the car in that corner and having the chance to overtake Nato easily.
You can see the wear on the inside shoulder of Nato's front left. And that was Ollie Rowland making light work of him at the end of the straight. But even when the tyres are slightly mismatched, it was a thrilling sight to watch, certainly on board. Okay, Rowland, can he make any dent? Remember, it's on the harder of the compounds that Dams have had the better race car, and Leclerc knows it, dispatching a visor tear off there. He's just got to almost break the spirit of his rival there. He's got to show him that he can race effectively on these medium tyres. This is the tyre that he didn't get to run too often, and well, I think we might have our answer. Interesting to see what we get from Ollie Rowland as he comes across the line. Wow, this is some lap from Charles Leclerc. A 1:58.7 to go, an enormous amount faster than Ollie Rowland, who posted a 2 minutes and 1, but of course he was stuck behind Nato for the first second. Even so, that's unbelievable pace. That is frankly unbelievable pace.
Yeah, you're right. We need to say that you have the first new tires effect just after the pit stop, but is flying Leclerc. He already put 8 seconds to Rowland, so he put the race in the direction of another victory.
Well, it's looking good. The virtual safety car incident between Camara and Delatraz requires no further action. Luca Ghiotto is trying to make his way through, and you can see a problem with the turning vane for Nabil Jeffrey. Malia trying to the inside, and he's wasted no time. It's important when you're making your way through the field to try and do so as quickly as possible at corners like that, and Malia pulling off the move nicely.
Yeah, you're right. He's racing really well today. He's racing very well because he just easy move, good attack, good defense. He's just performing well. Seems really confident. Malia, I hope for him a result in the top 8 because not often we saw him performing so well. Today, Malia deserves a good result. And also, let me say that I'm disappointed for Latifi that didn't appear to this race. I'm really sorry for him. Starting from the first row, he could have the chance to win. Sorry for him.
Yeah, Latifi has been super effective. The man, 4th place, 115 points in the championship. Here's the replay of the move from Luca Ghiotto. We've seen the 2 Racing Engineering get past Nabil Jeffrey, and it was an easy move from Ghiotto, who, of course, started on the soft tyre and then switched. Here's Antonio Fuoco, who's 1.8 seconds behind our race leader, Artem Markelov, and these guys going long, going for as long as possible on the medium tyres. We just check the gap currently between Charles Leclerc and Artem Markelov is 9 seconds, approaching 10, so it's looking decent for Leclerc at the moment. Of course, those medium tyres will drop off for him, and Markelov is an expert at going for the alternative strategy, but you can see how effective Charles Leclerc has been in the early stages of this stint with the tyres fully up to temperature. The driver that has been sensational this year on his way to 5 race victories is looking very good indeed for number 6.
You're doing a great job. Let's see what you have.
Markelov that he just overtook Fuoco and is leading the race, but look, Leclerc is just 6 seconds, he's just 6 seconds behind him, and he's impressive, let me say, in the middle sector, the longest one, 52 seconds, is giving more than 1 second to everyone else. So in the part of the track where you need brave to be good and to maintain the high speed in the corner, you need to be technique to approach the line in a perfect way. Leclerc is just destroying all the other drivers.
The man heavily linked, he's Ferrari Junior Academy driver like his teammate. There's Antonio Fuoco heading through your picture now, but it's Leclerc who is linked. Wait for him because he's not too far behind at all, and he's charging in this race, charging possibly at the end of the season all the way to a Sauber drive. The rumor is him and the man who finished runner-up in the final ever GP2 series, Antonio Giovinazzi, filling those 2 Sauber seats. That would be excellent to see next year. Right now, Antonio Fuoco has come in from 2nd in the race, and now for Leclerc there is only 1 driver ahead, Artem Markelov. Markelov, who has the best points finishing record. He's got 12 point scoring finishes this year. Not something Antonio Fuoco has managed, but Fuoco is going to try and get back around 9th or 8th, and then of course he will have the advantage of running on these tyres. and of course the advantage of running on these tyres with far less fuel than we saw at the start of the race.
Yeah, but strange anyway, the strategy of Markelov, that is keep running with the same medium compound, maybe even too long, I think, because now he can put soft like Foco and try to explode all the grip from the tires, but Markelov is keep running. It's not so bad, his race pace, but he's losing more than 1 second to the driver that is fighting for the 4th and 5th position like Roland and Nato.
We have lost Nicholas Latifi and Jordan King. We lost Latifi before the start and Jordan King after a first lap puncher. Everyone else still in the race, including Matsushita, who stalled, and Louis Delatraz, who lost his front wing at the start. You can see Leclerc and Roland on lap 14. Well, look at that. That is a barely believable graphic. It was barely believable in the wet, but that sort of lap time in the dry, it underlines the sort of performance that we're seeing this year from Prema and their superstar driver. I was going to say in the making, but he's putting in the performances right now that you've been saying pretty early on, Davide, that are worthy of Formula One.
Yeah, and let me say that you were live in all the world TV channels today, because I saw you on the truck parade, drivers parade in the grid. You were interviewing Leclerc, and thanks to it, you were live on the Italian TV, and I just saw you and was so happy and so proud of you, my friend.
Thank you very much, buddy. I think I'll leave the presenting to you for the moment. It's lap 15. We're in a bit of a pattern here. We've seen Fuoco come into the pits. Who hasn't pitted? We've yet to see Norman Nato come in. Aside from that, everyone else is waiting. Artem Markelov is into the pits, so it's just Nato still running on the mediums. There is the completed pit stop from Artem Markelov, and he's going to come out now with a real opportunity to attack, and Artem Markelov on the attack. It's always going to be interesting. He's just behind his teammate who goes through the picture, and then of course you see the two Racing Engineerings headed by Gustav Malia for the moment, but you can see Markelov, is he going to come out ahead? Remember, Markelov's tyres are not up to temperature, so he doesn't immediately have the grip, but he will have much more tyre life in about 1 lap's time when he brings the temperatures up into the range that he needs, and that is bad news indeed for Malia, Giotto and De Vries, the 3 guys in front of him.
Yeah, you're right, and now Markelov is going to show us how is his technique on the attack, because usually he's one of the best fighter of this Formula 2, he's a great racer, and now we have the chance to see him fighting for something important, because the 5th and the 4th position is there. Luca Giotto, 3rd, is just 3 or 4 seconds in front of him, so he will have the chance maybe to get his teammate.
The undercut strategy of coming in a lap before just not working. Not working for Ollie Roland earlier in the race, not working for Antonio Fuoco, who wasn't able to take that much of a dent. The tyres not perhaps working in the traditional sense, but they do look in pretty decent shape. You can see the marbles off the racing line. Let's check in with our race leader, our dominant race leader, who is in his own postcode so far this weekend. Dominant in wet qualifying, looking good now in the dry, and Charles Leclerc is well on his way to his 8th podium of the year. If Ollie Roland can stay there, though, it will be the 9th, and Roland has the record for this first season of the new Formula 2 era. But well, we're running out of superlatives, and we've been running out of superlatives pretty early on in this season. This is very reminiscent indeed from what we saw from Stoffel van Dorn in 2015, where there just wasn't a question. Stoffel was going to be on pole, and Charles today is doing a pretty decent impression of a guy who is looking more and more comfortable in that McLaren. Got himself through qualifying earlier on, and here is Albon and Nato running very close together, running side by side, coming out of Radion Corner onto the Kemmel Straight. Who managed to prevail in this battle? Remember, Nato would have just put the soft tyres on, so he would have been bringing them into temperature. The final driver who started on the mediums to then go onto the softs, but with the lack of tyre temperature, he knew he couldn't attack and didn't attack into Les Combes. For the moment, he has to hold station. That will not be the case with Nato for too long.
Well done, because being in that position up there at the Eau Rouge is not easy, so it was really brave, Albon, to maintain the outside line up there.
So Boschung now sizing up the final points paying position. Here he is, the young Swiss driver, trying to have a look. but not quite able to do so. And Robert Visoyu in 9th, so Campos looking at 2-point scoring finishes at the moment. Robert Visoyu yet to score a point since he returned after Monaco, so it will be really interesting to see whether he can notch for the first time in the series. You see the difference in lap time between Meri and Boschung at the bottom of your picture, and that is the advantage of running slightly longer in the car. Remember, Roberto Meri in for Sergio Canamassas, who had to stand down for personal reasons. We hope that Sergio is back with us in Monza. His countryman doing a fine job at the moment, running in 10th position, the coveted reverse grid pole at the moment, belonging to another guy who's not scored a point so far in Formula 2. That is Sergio Sette Camara.
I think Markelov got the position on De Vries. Have a look.
He was trying it with the DRS. Remember, it's different strategies.
Outside.
Markelov on the alternative strategy and making it work once again. Gained so many places at the start from 9th. That really set up the charge that we're watching right now. De Vries under pressure from Antonio Fuoco. And, well, there's a significant difference in tyre advantage. And De Vries, who's only been with this team for all of 2.5 sessions, you have to say, as we go into the latter stages, well, Markelov has gained an awful lot to Malia in front. Now, deciding not to make the move. You don't want to make the move into the first turn unless you absolutely have to, because the advantage that you get heading down the hill and then back up it is incredible. We've got 2 battles going on
Not easy
here.
for the director choosing the button now. Look, Markelov is getting closer and he was flat out up there at the Rouge already on.
So we see Markelov putting pressure in a pretty major way. And is he going to be able to make the move on Gustav Malia? He's closing all the time. He's got the inside line. And Artem Markelov gets himself up to 4th position. Antonio Fuoco is all over the back of De Vries, but he's received a black and white flag, and that is the flag issued for potentially dangerous driving. That could well be for cutting Raddy on the top of the Eau Rouge complex. If you do it on 3 occasions, race control will show you the black and white flag. The next stage is disqualification or potentially a penalty. So Fuoco, he's got to find a way to make these soft tyres work without cutting the corner at the top of Eau Rouge.
And now Markelov is still in pace to fight for Giotto for the podium. Well done for the director that gave to us the helicopter view, so we could admire all the battles that we have in the track. Really interesting every time the Formula 2 in the last few laps. I think that Markelov has the pace to fight for Giotto for the podium, and it will be interesting. Fuoco looks quicker, but it's not easy for him to stay close to the contender in the middle sector. But now he had a good exit from Stavelot. Not easy, almost flat out. He's really close. He's going to attack.
He's certainly going to try it. He's heading to the fastest corner on the racetrack. That's Blanchimont, that he's going to the inside. We saw a big accident here a few years ago, and good awareness from Gustav Malia. Knows there's no point in fighting it, and Antonio Fuoco has got himself up
But you have to be careful, turn 4. If you cut it one more time, you may get a penalty. Confirmed. Do not cut turn 4, Eau Rouge.
Don't cut it, there's no need. All right, don't do it, don't take the risk. And so Meri in the same sort of trouble that Antonio Fuoco has been warned about with the black and white flag. Antonio Fuoco, who is now up to 6th position after making that move on the old part of the circuit that has existed here since 1921, when they started racing around this fantastic venue on the old public roads. And now in 2017, he's got another driver ahead of him that he will try and hunt down. It's Gustav Malia in front, Nick De Vries behind for Antonio Fuoco. This is a good showing from Fuoco. He's proving that he absolutely belongs in Formula 2. Not quite in the class of his teammate, but today, Davide, no one is.
Yeah, you're right. He's racing really well, a bit too far from the teammate because he's 30 seconds behind. That is a lot of time, but he's doing well. Sometimes good attack, so he's performing well. Seems that he's coming back with a bit of confidence.
No more cut, turn 4. No more cut, turn 4.
Okay. No more cut, like you said. You're going to risk there.
Not the top of the hill.
With the confidence is coming back, the driver that we saw in GP3, the driver that we know. He just need some podium, some good result to come back to perform at 100%.
Antonio Fuoco in his first year of GP3 had a lot of accidents and had the 1 podium finish. In his second year, he was phenomenal, super consistent and delivering the sort of positions that we see from Russian time. The team that find themselves third in the championship as we went into this race. Once again, both drivers running together in the points, so it's going to be 13 point scoring positions out of 15 for Markelov and Giotto, but not what they'd want to see on the pit wall, because they're about to duel for the final place on the podium. Markelov, of course, with the tyre advantage of the compounds, and they are newer soft tyres. Luca Giotto was in pretty early for the mediums.
The only way for Giotto to maintain the position, to maintain the podium, is fight Markelov immediately. Fuoco is close.
De Vries was so low off last source. He really struggled there, and you don't want to get too close in that you gain in the middle of the corner and have to lift off. You want to be gaining right about now. Okay, Giotto on the defensive, looking left, looking right. Where's his teammate? He's going to appear. He's going to try the favoured move around the outside, and Malia having to defend. Giotto manages to get his elbows out, and he maintains third position for the moment. Markelov wasn't able to do so, but what happened in the background? Antonio Fuoco made the move to get himself up to fifth position, and that is exactly where he started this race, so he's had to work pretty hard to get back to fifth position. But the man with the real pressure on him now is Luca Giotto, who has his rapid teammate behind.
It's crucial for Giotto. He did everything perfectly, because we need to consider that he's with soft tires, Markelov. So if you stress the tires a bit too much, you overheat the tires and you lose the performance. For Giotto was crucial to fight Markelov just at the beginning of his attack, and now to try to maintain him behind, because in the next few laps I'm sure that Markelov is going to drop the performance and to losing a bit of the momentum.
5 laps to go. Remember what happened to him at the bus stop in the feature race last year. He tangled with Sergei Sorokin. He doesn't want a repeat of that. Certainly not with his teammates. Certainly not going back to his team principal Svetlana. He does not want that one bit. So he's having to show the maturity that he has displayed that we didn't see in Budapest when he risked it all. He doesn't need to risk it all today. This was the move that elevated Antonio Fuoco up to fifth position around the outside with the use of DRS. Great move.
Yeah, you're right. Deep brake on the outside at the comment. That is not easy at all. But look, Giotto with Markelov just behind him. Important for Markelov to be flat out at this corner, and it's not easy with the downforce. It's close. Oh, it's really close now. It seems that the exit was a bit quicker than the lap before. Now with the use of the DRS, there will be another fight.
Giotto has gone to the inside. He's hugging the inside line. Markelov has to go around the outside. Can he do it? Giotto tries to hang on. Hard in the mouth time for Russian time, but it's third position for Artem Markelov, who's fought his way through brilliantly on the alternative strategy from ninth position, and he will claim, surely, if everything goes to plan in the next couple of laps, his fifth podium of the year, and he made the move. Alexander Albon has been given a time penalty for leaving the track and gaining the advantage. That would not have been for earlier on, at least assume not, because we were told there was no further action. So he's done that again somewhere out on the road, and his race really ruined by that broken front wing. He is running right now in 14th position.
We need to say really well done to Markelov, because he just beat Giotto, that he fought until the end. He tried at 100% to maintain behind his teammate, but Markelov was just too good and too quick at this stage of the race.
The lap around here is 7 kilometers, 4.3 miles, and right now, when on lap 22, there is 20 seconds between Charles Leclerc and Ollie Rowland, his nearest championship rival, and that is hugely impressive. This is a statement victory. Remember what he said on the radio after Silverstone, that he was supremely happy, and it was the first time that he felt he put it all together. It was dominant that day. It's dominant again right now. The margin, 21.4. Leclerc is rubbing everyone's noses in it a little bit this weekend.
Yeah, you're right. The best weekend of the season for him.
And this was a really leery moment for Robert Visoyu, and it let through Roberto Merri. So down to 10th position with the tyres surely in not great shape. Here is second place man The always impressive Ollie Rowland, the closest he got to Leclerc was at the first turn of this race. Could have been different. Now let's see the pace of Markelov. Is it dramatically different? 7/10 quicker last time around, and you can see that time, unless Rowland's tyres go off the cliff in much the same way that they did before, looks to be insurmountable for the charging Russian driver. Talking of charging drivers, Nick de Vries seems to have managed the medium rubber slightly better. He is now coming back at his teammate in the battle for 6th position.
Interesting for de Vries, that seems, you're right, it seems quicker than the teammate. 0.5 or 1 second per lap quicker than the teammate. Let me say that Markelov sometimes is struggling a bit in quali. Because look, in the race, he's always one of the best one. Now was much quicker than Rowland, but starting from 9th is never easy. And so sometimes Markelov is struggling a bit and is losing chances to win the races in qualify. Starting 9th, 8th, 10th is not the best way to approach the weekend if you want to win the races.
Artem Markelov really does adore this circuit. Takes a lot to excite Artem Markelov. He's pretty chilled out outside of the car. He scored his first points here in GP2, scored his first podium here in GP2, and he's going to return to the podium today at the first running around this circuit of the new Formula 2 era with 3 laps to go. He is still, Artem Markelov, setting personal bests. And, well, it's a little bit nervy for Racing Engineering because they'll want to get these points scored, but they know who they've employed alongside Gustav Malya. Nick de Vries, we saw an unbelievable move from him in Budapest when he went late on the brakes to make the move on Giotto. I wonder if he's going to risk another one against his brand new teammate. The difference between Rowland and Markelov, wow, look at that. It was 7/10 in the final sector, and it's nearly up to 2 seconds. So that gap might not be insurmountable. Rowland is going to have to hang on. Remember, those tyres will start to degrade for Markelov, of course, in the latter stages, but not too bad. At the moment, I think Rowland is just nursing the pace. Someone who's not nursing it is Gustav Malya, who's got his teammate right behind now, certainly within the 1 second that you need for DRS, closing all the while. Is de Vries going to be able to improve? He sent his teammate onto the defensive, and he knows he's racing his teammate, much like we saw with Markelov a couple of laps ago. He's going to have to be fully through the inside before he's going to risk one.
Yeah, you're right. Not wonderful, the Rouge Radion, the driver in the first corner for de Vries, that he lost a bit the rear of the car in the middle of the corner, and he lost the chance to attack properly. Gustav Malya is important for de Vries. At the first race, Racing Engineer finished the race just in front of the teammate. It is important for Malya to be in the point and to be in front of the new driver that just came to his team. So will be interesting the last 2 laps for them.
He outqualified him yesterday. Very impressive around this circuit. He was very impressive here last year. 3rd on the grid last year, 4th this year, which was 3rd on the road with the demise of Nicholas Latifi. And so as a result, he, well, has put together a good weekend, needs to do so in the final 14 kilometers of this race. And you can see how much Nick de Vries was fighting that. He really wants to be top dog immediately in the team. Malya looking for his first point since he stood on the Monaco podium in the sprint race. It's been a while. The last time the driver you're on board with was on the podium was last time out. He was chasing 3 in a row, as you see. Pretty large marble shed itself from the teammate ahead of them. Okay, so Markelov making major progress on lap 23. The gap is now down to 3 seconds. So it did look impossible, but Rowland is really struggling in terms of lap time. Charles Leclerc is doing a 2 minutes 1 second 0.6 lap. Ollie Rowland a 2 minutes 2.5, as you can see from the graphic on the picture. So has Malya just about done enough? Let's see what Nick de Vries can do with the use of DRS, whether he can close in. Really good response lap from Gustav Malya there to just extend it, just to take it away a little bit. We saw the oversteering moment in Stavelot, and this time nowhere near him in the braking zone, and didn't even have to pull a defensive move.
Yeah, you're right. He's struggling a bit with the rear. Look at the steering wheel at the exit of the corner. He's always on the opposite way, so he's controlling the oversteer. Seems that he's struggling a bit with the grip of the rear tires. De Vries will be not easy at all. Oh, Malya! Oh, wonderful, the drive and the control of this driver that that both they are struggling with tires. Not easy for De Vries to overtake Maglia. Maglia seems in a better shape and in control of the race.
This is on board with Norman Nato, who's trying to improve to the points, having started in 18th. You heard him having to get out of it, and they could have had an enormous accident there. Norman Nato will not be impressed at all. That was way too close to the old pit wall. Charles Leclerc, meanwhile, whilst that drama is continuing, Nato is only 4 tenths behind as he went across the line. So he will be racing over the line for the final point. Sergio Sette Camara seems set for a point. Roberto Meri seems set for his first 2 F2 points. And Robert Visoyu is clinging on really, really dearly at the back. There is only 1 second between Ollie Rowland and Artem Markelov as they go over the line. Look at Charles Leclerc giving us a wave. He's got so much of an advantage. Remember, Rowland will have been hurt by losing that element from the front wing. This is certainly in the middle part of the racetrack where you need your car to be balanced and you do not need it to be taken out of the front tyres. Rowland will have been contending with that. Not peak performance for him, but he's going to hope, as we see,
just for show,
just enjoying this circuit. What a luxury he has bought himself with his opening 24 laps to get himself right up and really, really close. Here's Fuoco now, who is closing on Giotto, and Rowland, is he going to be able to repel? Here is the battle for second place, and so the positions are not guaranteed in any way. The all-Italian battle between Giotto and Antonio Fuoco will go to the final few corners, and he's getting so close between Markelov, and it's deja vu. He's been forced wide. Rowland and Markelov going wheel to wheel in the final stages for a podium position. It's exactly what we saw in Hungary, and we're seeing it again. Rowland on old mediums, Markelov on the newer softs, and this is going to go right to the checkered flag.
Let me say that it's almost impossible because he has only 1 chance of overtake at the end. At the bus stop, he's already at the finish line. Great victory for Leclerc.
A phenomenally dominant performance from Charles Leclerc, who has lit up a trail today. Charles Leclerc wins at Spa. Surely his best performance of the year. But who will be in second position? It's Ollie Rowland at the moment. But will that maintain? They're through Blanchimont. Will Markelov risk it? Will he dive to the inside? He's going to go round the outside. Rowland, can he get it slowed down? Is he going to hang on? They're swapping over. Who's got the best traction? The traction would surely focus on Markelov. But Markelov goes off, and who's going over the line? It's Artem Markelov, who snatches it away in the final stages. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Artem Markelov went off the road, and the clock reads 0.0. But the only number that matters is that Markelov got himself from 9th to 2nd place. Rowland demoted in the final meters.
Let me say, the best race of the season.
Well done. Well done. Thank you for the great car. Oh.
Yeah, really well done. You were just impressive today. Really well done for Leclerc, but let me say that Markelov was on fire, and Rowland is one of the best defenders of this category, and he tried to close the door in the entry, but then we need to check if Markelov, because he went really wide, maybe he will be not admit he's overtaken. But anyway, was a great show, the best race of the season. Thank you so much.
Wow, I cannot believe that that went to the final meters. At this stage, it looked so good for Ollie Rowland. He defended, but when he went slightly wide there, it became a battle of traction, and that is where Markelov had the advantage. And he had the advantage even when forced off the road. So Rowland goes deep now, a little bit of oversteer.
Then he opened the line, Rowland.
And look at this, he just floored it at this stage. But look at how close it was over the line.
I don't know, to be honest.
That is less. We're about to see less than 1/10 of a second over the line, and that is what it looks like. Artem Markelov
like the 100 meters sprint race.
Oh, unbelievable. I did not think Markelov was going to be able to do that.
Surely he drove the track to pass me then or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, he passed you off the track, yeah. He passed you leaving the track.
Yeah, maybe he's right, Roland. Roland was good because he crossed the line, Markelov, and then decided to be on the outside at the exit of the last corner. And Roland, knowing it and feeling it, he just opened the line and just forcing a bit Markelov on the outside to use all the escape road. But I don't know if Markelov was in the rules. It's difficult to judge. Anyway, it was a good show.
I can tell you what they're going to talk about in the debrief. Roland's going to say, hey, you went off the road to overtake me, and Markelov's going to say, hey, you pushed me off the road.
Easy.
It's
easy for them,
that.
not easy for the man that is going to take the judge.
What a really nice way to sum up the Formula 2 season that we've seen so far. Unbelievable action. But behind Charles Leclerc, who won that race in the end by 26 seconds. That is an unbelievable performance in only 25 laps, along with Silverstone, by far his best performance of the season.
Okay, that's a great job, mate. First of all, tires. Sorry, thanks to you.
Well, he promised on the drivers' parade maximum attack, but I didn't expect it to be that spectacular. From the first meter to the last, Artem Markelov putting on a show. Be interesting to see if the stewards decide that that was off the road, in which case they could just, talking through the hypotheticals, not suggesting that this happens, but talking through the hypotheticals, they could hit him with a 5-place penalty and keep him on the podium. But I think he will argue. I mean, the blood is pumping. What is it about Artem Markelov in that final corner? He had an accident there last year. He went dueling with Ollie Rowland today, and those two providing the entertainment a month ago in the final stages, and today providing the entertainment in the final meters.
Yeah, it was clever, eh? Because he was thinking when he stayed really close after the right, he was thinking he's going to cross the line and to be on the inside of the exit of the last corner. But no, he judged that was the best way to be on the outside. But Roland anticipated him and just opened the line, and so he pushed him out of the track. But I don't know, maybe Roland was right saying that was not in the rule. But let me say congratulations to Leclerc. I never saw so big gap to the contenders, 26 seconds, maybe the biggest.
You can see how pumped up your race winner is with his 8th podium of the season and his 6th win. It's another phenomenal performance, and a word for the Prema team, the Italian outfit formed in 1983. They came in for their first season last year in GP2, this their first season in Formula 2, and they are continuing what they did last year to look so impressive and to rewrite the record books. Always at the front, always in contention from the very first race. Not an immediate hug between those two. Markelov wanted to get straight to his mechanics, and you can see Nicola Todt there, his manager, the man who is trying to get him in that Sauber seat. And I'm going to be biased here and say, Sauber, sign him up, because I want to see this man in Formula 1 next year.
Yeah, you're right. For sure, and immediately, because this one
now,
is...
do it now.
Yeah, he's a talent, he's a great talent, and I don't know, 26 seconds in front of everyone, he could pit one more and winning anyway, so really well done for Leclerc. It's not easy to find a driver that he has so many qualities, because he's perfect on the single lap time, he's perfect on the aggressivity to fight in the race and to overtake, he's perfect to manage the tires, he's a great defender. I mean, he has everything you need to be a real champion, also in Formula 1.
He has a great temperament as well. That's the impressive thing. When he's out of the car, he seems to have a lot of time for people in the paddock. He hasn't suddenly decided that he's going to be this superstar in Formula 1. Still a very humble chap. And of course, when you think about what he's had to deal with in the last couple of years, losing his mentor, losing his father, he's taken that in his stride as well. And, well, fantastic action behind and dominance ahead. We are going to see a pretty mixed podium. Ollie Rowland will be pretty miffed to find himself in 3rd position after spending the majority of that race. But it's another really impressive performance. So we are going to check through the official order that was running all the time for It was changing all the time for that race. There we are, Charles Leclerc ahead of Artem Markelov. You can see 0.07 of a second between those two over the line. Luca Ghiotto, great defensive driving to hold off Fuoco, who was on the faster tyre. 6th was Malia with his first points since Monaco. Then we had Nick de Vries, points on debut for Racing Engineering. First points in Formula 2 for Sergio Sette Camara. Well done to him. Reverse grid pole as well, of course. Roberto Meri, the super sub, getting 2 extra points for Rapax. And Norman Nato from 18th to 10th. He denied Robert Viso-Yu, who dropped down behind Ferrucci. And then we had Jeffrey, Albon, Boschong. Delatraz's race was ruined on the first lap. And then Matsushita 1 lap down after stalling. King and Latifi, retirements on the first lap. Let's listen in to what the top 3 are saying.
What time is it? I don't know, mate. It's like pushing every lap, trying to catch everyone.
Where were you starting?
9. There was a mess actually in front of 5-6. There was 2 guys. I think it was Racing Engineering. They were fight each other and
Oh, yeah?
yeah.
Physically, it was so fucking hard, no? I was alright this year, but last year I was oh God. In the fast corners, it was like... And I ripped.
Well, really interesting to listen in there. You can see an extended championship advantage. And you can also see now that we have 21 point scorers. We're awaiting the podium celebrations for the first time this weekend in Formula 2. Who are you going to select as your driver of the day, Davide? Who stood out for you today?
Let me say that we cannot say Leclerc because was unbelievable and impressive his race pace after a wonderful quali in wet, because you need to consider that was his first time in wet condition and he was on pole. But Markelov took the trophy for the fight of the race.
That was fantastic. Let's get the podium celebrations underway. It's time to see Leclerc, Markelov and this man, Ollie Rowland.
Second place grab there for Artem Markelov from Russia. And the winner, once again, is Charles Leclerc. And in his honour, we will hear the national anthem of Monaco. to the World Automobile Club of Belgium. Félicitations à Charles, to second place driver Artem Markelov. The trophy is presented by Monsieur Yves Lacalet, President of the ICB Sport. And to the third place driver Oliver Rowland, the trophy is presented by Ms. Nathalie Maillet, Chief Executive Officer of Sophie Spa Show. And now, gentlemen, at your feet, the champagne!
excellent to see Charles Leclerc celebrating with Ollie Rowland, fighting hard on the racetrack, but celebrating on the podium, and that is terrific sportsmanship and exactly what we want to see. It's just looking up how many races Prema have won since they first entered GP2. Remember, it is the same car that the Formula 2 is running this year. 15 victories for Prema with Pierre Gasly, Antonio Giovinazzi, and this man right here, Charles Leclerc. There are no podium interviews, Charles. Nope, you don't get to tell us. You'll have to go to the Formula 2 website to hear Charles' thoughts. He'll be giving them in the press conference. I think he wanted to talk about his victory, and you can totally understand that, given how dominant it was today. He's going to have to repeat it if he wants a chance to talk to Davide. And there go the top three, to richly deserved applause. What a great entertainment we have seen here. Very impressive indeed. We're going to do it all again tomorrow for the sprint race, slightly shorter, of course. Join us at 10:10 for that sprint race when Formula 2 returns.
Sky Sports F1. Feel it all.